Hi everyone, Adrian here from Famed Consulting. So I just have a few things I'd like to go over with you regarding what's the difference between a tax preparer versus an advisor. So let's get started. So let's just talk about what's the standard approach that people kind of go through during tax season. So typically, you may be using a DIY, nothing against that. You absolutely can prepare your own return online. I'm not endorsing any particular platform, but you absolutely can do it. I did it for years before I started going into practice for myself. But when you have a little bit more things going on and it's a little more complicated, what I found is that sometimes you may end up with a notice in the mail. And a lot of times you'll spend some time Googling, you'll, maybe check out a few YouTubes, realize, okay, I don't really know 100% what I'm doing. You might end up with a IRS publication that's single spaced, really complicated and convoluted. But the whole time while you're trying to go through this process of figuring it out yourself, you are incurring interest. There might be penalties that are assessed, and you may not know how to address some of these things. The last step is often, hey, let me go and get a one-to-one consultation from someone. But in that case, now you might be paying this person a couple $100 an hour. They may have staff behind them. Got to, think about, okay, if they're researching, if they're doing other things, it can become costly. So the question I ask is, why not start with an advisor first? So there are a few pain points that, we try to address whenever we have any tax clients. So one, tax code is really convoluted, it's really complex, and it's difficult to navigate. So having someone who's experienced in that navigating the tax code, addressing certain issues, that can really work to your benefit. You might be overpaying on your taxes. So the difference between a tax preparer and a tax advisor that really bleeds into point 3 is that the tax preparer, nothing against them, they are going to take your information, put it into the return accurately, and spit out, these are your results. But you may not be happy with those results. Hence, problem 2, you might be overpaying. A tax advisor can help you with creating a tax plan to help you leverage the tax code and benefits that you might be eligible for, so that you can proactively plan during the year to figure out, okay, this is how I want to structure my year. These are some of the decisions I want to make so that I can save on my tax liability at the end of the year. So it's using the tax code, working with someone who's experienced with certain provisions to help you understand, these are things that you might be eligible for. These are things you can set up for yourself so that you can actually pay less in taxes and leverage the tax code to your advantage. And then just essentially, the last pain point that's addressed is access is limited in the off season. So how many times have you seen, certain tax offices open 24 hours a day during tax season, but then we get to May and you walk by, you received a notice, and their office is closed. So these are some of the pain points that we tried to address, at least within my firm, and then, working with an advisor versus just a simple tax preparer. So some of the solutions that we leverage are technology, so that we can connect virtually, so that, you can kind of be anywhere. You can meet with someone during your lunch break, and then also be able to transfer documents securely, using an online portal and things like that are really good ways to still work in a digital space, but be sensitive to cybersecurity and making sure your information is encrypted, is protected. In addition, using an appointment-based model so that there's transparency as to when people are available throughout the year, not just simply during tax season. And also convenience, making sure that, you pick a time that works best for you. So the final solution is really customization. So when you go into a meeting with your tax advisor, you want to make sure that they're updating the tax plan for you. They're creating a tax plan for you. And it's not simply, hey, let me just spit out my return and, walk away end of story. You want to make sure that you're speaking with them throughout the year, at least quarterly. So my recommendation is at least quarterly. Meet with them, talk about what's changing in your life, in your business, your individual circumstances, so that that information is power. It helps enable them to make better recommendations for you and adjust, your previous tax plan. You might have something that you're working on in March, but then by the time you get to July, you've pivoted, you've gone in a different direction. So meeting quarterly is crucial. So a little bit about Fame. Our firm, these are some of the solutions that we offer. And we started off initially as a freelance bookkeeping company. We expanded to tax preparation during the pandemic. Wow, that was not the best time, but we made it through the pandemic. And that really what was a catalyst for us really promoting a virtual practice. Yes, we have a brick and mortar office on Long Island, but we really meet with the majority of our clients virtually so that we're able to accommodate their schedules and not really deal with commuting downtime. We launched a tax academy in 2021 and it's still going. So as part of that tax academy, we teach other CPAs and tax professionals how to start their own practice, how to learn how to build their client book, and really just set them up for success. And of course, my notifications don't want me to be great. A little bit about me. I am the founder of Fame Consulting. I have over 14 years of accounting experience in a few different practice lines. So I have my master's in taxation. I started off in audit. I audited nonprofits, commercial entities, hotels, really large corporations, and then I went into litigation support and forensic accounting. So that's when you really shift accounting into high gear. So with litigation support, it's really writing really intense accounting research papers for, entities that are being sued or dealing with a specific legal matter related to their financial statements or some other issue, and essentially, arguing their case in a research paper. I went to Binghamton University. I have my master's in tax from Baruch College, and I am heavily involved with nonprofits. I always believe it's important to give back into the community, and, service is the rent we pay to be here. So I heard someone say that and I love it. So again, some of the services we offer: entity formation, compliance, and certifications. So helping you get started on the right foot from day one, having consultations to discuss your tax strategy, talking about your entity structure, and making sure that you're set up for success. Then walking through the life cycle. You need bookkeeping. Make sure your numbers are right throughout the year so that when you get to tax planning time, we have the right information to plug into our questionnaires to figure out the best strategies for you. Then leads right into tax preparation and tax planning. We always want to do the planning first before we prepare. It's ideal, but we don't always meet people at that point in time. But doesn't mean that we can't plan for the future. And then finally, financial coaching and advisory services. So, typically I work with individuals, small business owners. Those are our bread and butter. We really like to specialize in that space. That way we're able to help you start from the ground up, start with the right compliance in mind, make sure you're structured correctly, and then help you to scale up from there. So the only way up is, really just figuring out, okay, where am I starting? Do I have the right foundation? And growing that up from there. What's the next step? What's the next level? Do I need to implement payroll? How do I do that? And helping them manage that trajectory and figure out, how do I get to the next level? All right. So, I'm here with tips and tricks. So I am going to just share a few key things here for this tax season. Remember, 1099-K is on its way. So reach out to your service providers. Make sure they have the right tax ID, the right address for you. For this tax season, you may be seeing more 1099-Ks. Do not throw them out. Give them to your tax preparer. review them to make sure they're accurate, because you cannot call the IRS if they're inaccurate. You actually have to call the person that issued them so that they can correct them and send new copies to you and send a new copy to the IRS. Meals are 100% deductible. So, this is the time, hey, maybe you need to do a quick business meeting at the end of the year, send that out. I've shared this information on my channel before. The New York State Seed Grant applications are still open. Grants range between $5,000 and $25,000 depending on your business size. And again, this is a grant for profit businesses. So please, please, please make sure you check these things out. There's a link to the grant application. You can follow the QR code. And as always, subscribe to our YouTube channel. So if you enjoyed this information, if you think this might be relevant or helpful to someone else, please, please, please subscribe and make sure you share it with your team. I appreciate you and looking forward to seeing you all in 2023.